Hi, Larry.
Hi, Larry.
Hi, Leah.
Thank you. A little housekeeping to get us started. First of all the slides, what we're talking about, are posted on the LiberTex Pinterest page under smAlbany. So you don't even need a Pinterest account. Just go to www.pinterest.com, whack LiberTex. You'll see a bunch of boards. One of the boards is the smAlbany board, and everything I'm going to say is on there. Well, everything I put up here. One thing I want you to know is many of the slides have a reference mark in the lower right. That's the reference that was behind it, and it's linked. So click it and you'll read it. Some great white papers, blog posts, and other primary research that was what I used for that. If you have any issues getting any of the sides or getting going with that, just call me. I'll give you my number. It's 452-0550. Or you can tweet me. I'm at Larry Z. So you can just send me a tweet and I'll reply.
Are you on Facebook?
Yes, I am. I am on Facebook under Larry Zimbler. And my business, we think it's really important to actually spend time and discuss these things. So we have office hours. So we're at 1648 Western Avenue, opposite Cross Gates Mall, 10 to 7 Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 on Saturday. And pretty much anything I'm going over, our staff is prepared to discuss with you too. So you don't even have to really discuss with me, although I'm more than happy to discuss it with you. But you can come in and just have that conversation with everyone, and then they'll answer what they can and refer the rest up. Welcome to our session. When I was asked to speak, it was suggested that I talk to you about making technology work for you. Very popular topic. And I guess it makes sense because technology, you could say, saves money by replacing expensive people with affordable machines.
We're supposed to be creating jobs.
And technology helps you do more with less. We all hear that. However, I felt, and a recent article in Forbes also suggests that this is actually rather off-subject in today's attention economy. It's not so much an optimization problem of technology, but a change of the game or a disruptive problem. Because in today's attention economy, businesses and consumers have really infinite choices of what they buy and infinite versions of what they buy. And the status quo of doing business the old way kind of has limited success. So having the conversation, making technology work for you, which that's what we do every day. We're in the IT consulting business. We manage small business networks and the users. It's what we do, but I really thought that was off subject, and more importantly, it was boring. Hence the boring. So I wanted to discuss about something a little different today. So I find my clicker.
Should be right next to the laptop.
It's on the edge of the table.
Is it?
The other way, on the other side of the background.
Okay. So a more disruptive topic would be something else. So I'd like to focus less on what to think and a little bit more on how we think about technology, and hopefully it'll be memorable even on an information overload day like smAlbany. So hopefully I can click this.
You might have to click into the PowerPoint.
Well, come on. I guess we'll just do it manually. So hopefully this will be a little refreshing, a little change, and a bit more disruptive. And the first thing I wanted to talk about, what is the problem with more? More. As opposed to less. The problem is this: a lot of our businesses are really service businesses. So when we start doing more business, inherently, it takes more time. You have more transactions, or you have a larger size transaction, so you have more work that you have to do. And these larger transactions very often require more time to get done and more risk in doing them, because you're going into a new area. So what's the result? The result is a stuck system. There you go. I think carriage returns the answer. Okay, go back to this one. You get worried, you get anxiety, stress, and you throw in the business cycle, the sector cycles, and you have business owner pain. And I'd like to speak more directly right to that. You know, I hear this all the time. I had a business was doing well, but it was killing me. And the problem for a small business is you've got to keep the energy level of the owners as well as the employees up. And if the energy goes down, it hurts the business, and ultimately it hurts the morale, and then hurts the longevity. It's very hard to do that, especially if you're trying to do more and more and more. So the answer is, you kind of have to find a little different way. Hence, our real seminar that we're going to have today is building your business with technology while working fewer hours. Because at the end, if you build your business, but you have to work 100 hours, and you don't have a life, what was the point? Just saying. Just saying. It's a subject that's very important to me. Personally, and it amazes me how much more I'm hearing this story from others, of business owners that have just chucked the business because it just wasn't worth it, and they started something. Either they took a job because they just couldn't figure it out how to make it work, or they start another business, but this time they stick to a real limited set of what they do in order to balance the work-life issues. I'm also seeing this as becoming a very unpopular topic in today's press. And I think this is caused because of the growth of technology as a whole, as well as information overload. I think that's causing a lot of problems. The economy, I don't think, is helping too much, and worker burnout. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is balance our work and our professions. What that usually means is we're trying to strike an extreme, a harmony between the two extremes. Entrepreneur magazine recently weighed in on this, and the blog post there, if you look at this online, just click it, you can read the blog post from Entrepreneur magazine, basically recommended an optimization strategy with escalation, is how we would call it. They say optimize, prioritize your tasks, track your progress, ask for help. I guess they're good ideas and definitely worth doing, but they're an optimization. They're not really changing the game, because you have to keep track of more and more granular activities. I think that those things are true, but I also think there's a different way to view this. This is an example of somebody who is viewing it a different way. And again, if you look online and you click the blog post, it gives you all the research behind this on the lower right, the blog post on the Pinterest page. And what they do is they break it down into all these different aspects: work life, confidence, wisdom, purpose, engagement. They start figuring out all these metrics. They have you figure out your work engagements, your business relationships, your personal life goals. The problem with this that I still see is, again, very complex. If the whole point of this is to have a balanced life and use technology, you don't want to get involved as much as possible in all this additional nitty-gritty. You're trying to get your work done and get home for dinner at 5 o'clock. you're trying to do. So this is useful, but I don't think it's really that useful for a small business owner who's trying to juggle 50 things. Okay. I think what we are trying to do is look at all the various options that we've got, figure out what we really care about in our personal lives. We'll use life, it's just a simpler way of saying personal life. And we'll call work for professional life, just to make the words a little less words. I saw a quote that I really want to mention that I thought was really on subject to this. Life offers us endless ways to express ourselves, from the words we choose, the clothing we wear, to the music we make and the works we create. But did you know that you can express yourself creatively through your work? And it's important for professionals to express themselves creatively because it distinguishes their skills and expertise from others. Not all professionals produce the same quality of work. Some are more creative and capable than others. Also, by their creative works, you can see what their professional values are. That's a key issue. If you can express yourself and find a way to have your professional life express some aspect of yourself, it really does, one, it makes you more unique, and two, it gives people something that they can really link to. Just as a quick illustration of that, you may not be aware of this as we flip over to the technology part of it, but LinkedIn now offers its members the opportunity to showcase their abilities and promote their skills by submitting their unique professional story. You guys probably know that you can put a resume up on LinkedIn. They've had that for years, but now you can really go to the next level. You can post your videos, your pictures, and your presentations all in there and actually lay out a story. So that really is a very simple way that you can use, in this case, LinkedIn, or technology in general, to get your personal message out in the professional setting to distinguish yourself. And everyone's going to be different. You might be a particular cause you care about, or a particular interest, or a hobby. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you communicate in a professional way so that people who are in your work see you doing that, and then they want to engage. So what would a work-life balance look like? Oops, that's messed up. Sorry. Go back. Okay. Oops. This is one on computer. Or user.
Yeah, user problem.
Yeah, it's probably a user problem. Okay. One area that you can focus on is what in the personal life. It's really important to figure out what really matters. I guess it's really the key point I want to get across. Motivation is one of the single biggest problems that cause business owners to basically not succeed. And it's usually because there's a gap between what they decide really matters personally and what the business is doing. And you've got to start by knowing what really matters to you and then try to introduce those things into your professional life. We're going to go into some of the technology aspects of that, right, to lay out the big picture. Another one really I think that's important are the health and physical goals. If you're not healthy and physically fit, assuming you don't have a chronic issue that there's only so much you can do about, it really is going to make a big difference in you operating your business. It's going to affect your energy level. And again, I talk to so many businesses, especially now. I'm 52 now, so a lot of business owners I know are approximately that age. And I hear so many stories of people who are really finding a dramatic change in their ability to produce because of their health. It's just not worth it. At the end of the day, you have a wonderful company, but if you have a heart attack, what's the point? From a work point point of view, what people really seem to be trying to focus on is advancing professionally, whatever that means within your industry, with that general term. And then building the brand. If you have an established business, you want to get that brand more. In my case, it might be the LiberTex brand, or it might be the event smAlbany brand. But there's some brand that you're out there trying to push forward in some way. Or you have a new project and you're trying to launch a startup and turn it into a profitable model. So those tend to be the three basic business goals that I would argue a lot of you are here for. So now that we've discussed just some of the personal goals and the business goals that typically we see, since our goal is to build a business while working less hours, I wanted to talk a little bit about the technology involved. We have so much information that's out there that we see on a daily basis, and it's going crazy. There's a thing. Have you guys heard of the Internet of Things? Have you heard of that term? No? Yeah. So basically, what's going on is like every single device that you have in your life, from a roll of toilet paper to your watch to your glasses, are all going to start having chips in them, and they're going to start either through a video camera or Bluetooth or whatever technology they choose. You're going to start communicating, and communicate with your phone or your wireless. And it's just going to be like, it's not that there's not a sea of data now, it's going to be a rising sea of data. And this is normal. You know, it's going to be tough in 10 years to buy a watch that doesn't think like that, so to speak. Because, understand, from the vendor's point of view, it's so much more profitable to collect your data and then sell it back to you. Now, why would I sell a watch that I can't get an annuity income versus selling a watch that I can get an annuity income? So companies like Citizen and Seiko are all moving in that direction, as an example. Even, you'll notice now with Google glasses, which is starting to come out, the idea you walk around with glasses and they're connected and they've got a camera. If you look online, there's a tremendous growth in vendors of just online glasses, having nothing to do with Google. And they're all dialing up because they say, okay, Google glasses are going to come on. We'll get into the eyeglass space. And then when the Google glasses comes out, you know, in a licensed way, we'll merge them. So this is going to become normal. And if you just think of what we're doing now compared to a few years ago, definitely going on. So this information is just going crazy. The number of devices that we're touching that contribute to this, that have to be managed, again, growing exponentially. Used to be the desktop, then it was the desktop and the laptop, now the tablet, now the phone, now the TV, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a very wide sea. And these things are connected through these connections that you have to the cloud. It might be your internet connection that's got to get managed, or your telephone connection, or your telephone connection that's running off your internet connection, or your wireless connection. Again, these various connections. Just think of that as connection in the simplest form, and then cloud. There's actually intelligence on the back end in the extreme. So all these things are starting to accumulate, and then we've got the search, the ability to have some vehicle, whether it be Google or some other search technology, to go across all this and just find anything. To be able to look at that information and get some relevance out of it, to create some context, is becoming, again, a higher order task that we really have to do, requiring so much more skill than ever before. Just not only to find something, but to look at it and know that it's relevant. Starting to hear complexity to this. Then you've got the accumulation of knowledge for a business. Many businesses, they turn over an employee, and it's not just that it costs money to replace the employee. You've set everyone back because that person had a set of knowledge that's now gone from the business because they didn't really bake that information in well into the company and take ownership of it. Those are some of the things I manage for clients at LiberTex, and we manage when we manage the whole infrastructure. But it's not just about the devices and the network. It's about getting to that point so that you have an asset in the business versus worrying because you have to be there to watch people to make sure they work, so to speak. And then there's the last part, which is just starting to grow, the idea of intelligence, where you have systems that are actually reading all this data and making intelligent decisions just like people would do. So a simple example of that is they had the Watson computer that went on Jeopardy and won. Or the Watson computer that beat the world's best chess player. And we've gotten to the point where those things exist. But I bring these up really to show you it's just so much information, and trying to distill it to create value here is becoming harder and harder. And what I hear a lot from business owners is it requires more and more time to try to do that, and that's the problem. So we can put systems in place, but unless we actually address the problem in some manner, we just end up working more hours. And what's the point? So those are the things that we're picking up from a technology point of view. But from a get value out of it point of view, we've got to focus really on something else. We've got to focus on our daily decisions. What do we and our workers do in the day? What do they do first, do second? How do they approach their daily experience? That's what's the type of thing that we actually can't control. Because these might be systems, but these daily decisions are actionables that are going to either cost money or make money. You can have the exact same situation happen, and if it's handled two different ways, it's the difference between losing $100 or, let's say, $1,000 lifetime value, or making a couple of $100. And those small differences really come down to the daily decisions that the workers are doing every day. So ideally, what we want to do is look at those daily decisions and find a way to make some better decisions. Ideally, if we can make some better decisions, that can do things like free up a little bit of time. Because we can take things that might be business, but it's not clean business. Get rid of the dirty business, keep the clean business, and pick up a little bit of slack, either to do more work or get away from work. Ultimately, we go through a stage where we are going to want to make more decisions. But ideally, if worked well with these systems, the more decisions aren't going to have the problem that we had before of more work, because the more decisions can get pushed down the hierarchy in the business, get the decision done closer to the client, away from the business owner, so the business owner can live a life and not be dealing with every single decision. So that's kind of what we want to do. And then as we go up further, and there are some people at this symposium here today who can speak very directly to that because they're involved with innovation as a business, we want to try to move it so that some of these decisions are moving into creating innovation. So that's the path we want to go, but it really focuses on decision making. This is what we've got to look at, and this is just the way to get there. But there's definitely a gap that has to be worked out. Let's see if I can get this to work. Okay. Now let's talk about what the promise is. The basic promise that, again, that is supposed to happen is if we really focus on our data enough and really look at it, then we can optimize our use of time to create that work-life balance that we need. That's the hope. Well, one thing that's good is that we've had this conversation before. If we go back, very interesting case study, highly recommend you read it, that talks about this problem basically about a decade ago. It was 2003. The NBA players, they're flying all over the country. They're trying to, win ball games and be professional athletes, and they're trying to maintain some kind of family life. Kind of similar to the problem we're having. It's just a decade ago. So what happened was BlackBerry partnered with the NBA, came out with a network just for NBA players, gave them all BlackBerries, and they did a case study. And it's a very interesting case study because it really showed in at that particular time, I know this is a decade ago, but just using this as a case, that you really could put together certain communication systems that could actually solve real problems. And they stated that it was a reliable and convenient way to stay connected to family, friends, and teammates. Now, I know today, we might not do that. We might use Skype or something else. But the point is, there is a history of being able to use technology to actually solve the problem. And I don't think those NBA players are working any harder. They're still going to the same practices, but they have a better life because they're more connected in that case. Let's talk a little bit about waves. The NBA case study is an example of technology that comes into the market. In this case, it was a smartphone, BlackBerry 2003, so it was early in the game. And it washed over the industry. And in this case, it was a communications technology. I focus more on information technology, actual data and databases and your customer list, your mailing lists, those type of analytics, and helping clients like yourself with that. But I think the point I really want to get across here is, no matter how good a job you do with any current wave that's coming out, it's going to be a wave behind it. And you've got to be cognizant of that, because strategically, the decision that you make of what you want to do is going to be based on what your goals are, as well as what wave you're currently riding and what's the wave behind it, because you're going to have to make a change. And understanding what wave is next. There's a moment of background. I've been in the industry, technology business, since 1981, and I've had my business since 91. So I've had about 35 years in the technology industry, and call it a little less than 25 years with the business. And we've noticed certain trends that I want to discuss with you. First is, basically think of every single wave that's coming across. They're basically 5-year waves to be round. Some are a little more, some are a little less. But 5 years is as good a number as any. And that actually tends to be, if you look over the long haul, after 15, 20 years, they tend to be 3 or 4 waves. So 5 years is a good number. And every single one of these waves has the same components in place. There's the first stage, where the technology comes out, and you have a wave where the vendors are looking to establish the brand, get it out there. I mean, in the very beginning, it might have been the Apple computer. So all of a sudden, no one ever heard of Apple, now I know an Apple computer. Or it might be, I never heard of BlackBerry, but now I know a BlackBerry. Or I never heard of Facebook, but now I know Facebook. But that's your first wave, just that awareness of the brand and whatever services people first associate with that brand. Then there's a second wave. That second wave is what I would call establishing distribution, where there's a product or a service. It exists, but it's got to go from the vendor to the marketplace. And all of these companies come in and utilize that technology to establish their businesses and establish some distribution for it. I would say SMAlbany is a real good example of that, because if you look at all the SEO companies and marketing companies and things like that, to a great degree, they're taking products from like a Google or a Facebook, etc., and they're reselling it or adding some value to it, or they're putting a front end on it so that it takes that